Hello everyone, today I'm going to be delving back into the fantasy world of EA from Para Bellum Games as I check out the Tengu for the Yoroni faction. For the last argument of Kings and First Blood, even though the box is labelled as Bushi, it can also make the Ayakashi. So it's a dual kit. If I flip it over, you can see absolute Tengu ninjas with a bit of background behind them as well. So fast, mercurial, precise and curious. They exemplify the virtues of their realm. You can read the rest by pausing the video. Inside we have bag with bases, round and square, 2 sprues, assembly instructions, and, a piece of sprue. I shall safely set that to one side until I find out where it goes. So we have 2 cards, which are both fu in this case for the Tengu, and our assembly instructions. You have 2 sprues, although they do seem to be separated into 3 parts, all listed A, B, C, D, and E. So, and then our build instructions. So, each model is a specific pose, and each pose can then be built into either type of Tengu, so ranged or melee. Pose 3 also has the leader options. So there's a good number of options in here, especially even though it says, leader or troop. There's no reason why you can't play around with these. If you're building 6 of them, for example, those heads are fairly interchangeable, regardless of whether they are combat or ranged variants. Taking a look at our sprues then. So as always, pieces are all numbered. And I'm trying to spot where my missing piece is. Nice level of detail, like the little war fan with the rising sun on it. Very appropriate. And then those massive bows, which I like anyway. The spires use that samurai style bow, where it's sort of held 1/3 of the way up rather than in the center. Nice, really nice level of detail. Hats especially. That sort of woven feel, the straw caps. Second sprue contains 2 of the bodies, and a lot of the armour as well. These look like an absolute dream. This is probably some of the nicest plastics I've seen so far. I still don't know where this piece has come from. I imagine I will find it when I come to build them. So let's do that and see how they all come together. Okay, the Tengu Bushi are built. Very straightforward build. I'll very briefly talk about the alternative version, the Ayakashi, which is the ranged version. So I haven't built any of those. As far as they work on the battlefield, they're similar in that they're a fast-moving brute troop. However, they do have a barrage of 4 per stand. So your three bases would get you 12 shots in a turn up to 14 inches away. And they also have rapid volley. So when you perform a volley action, each hit roll of a 1 causes an additional automatic hit on the target. You can't trigger further hits if you get more 1s. However, you do have the potential there to do a bit more damage. They're also armor piercing, which is very good. So yes, that's the ranged version of the Tengu. As far as these guys go then, if I bring in our leader, they are roughly, I say roughly because of posing, 54 mil to eye level, and around about 70 near the top of the heads. This leader has an alternative fan and head type along with the arms. However, there's nothing on the arms or head that say this specifically is a leader. You can, if you want, mix and match them. Build-wise, construction's very simple. Fiddliest thing was getting the shoulder pads on. There's a bit of wiggle, so you could push them a bit further back. However, they are supposed to be planted on these tassels at the front. With the Bushi themselves, they have a 7-inch move. That's really important if you plan on using these as a modular unit, because you are capped in your movement at the slowest pace in it. So the Tengu are very quick, and if they are a full unit, they have take flight, and take flight allows them to gain the fly special rule, so they can move and charge over intervening enemy and friendly units. However, the minute you start combining them with other Yoroni, they will lose an inch of movement and they will lose that ability to fly. So they have the potential to be moved in solid units of their own. However, you can still go ahead and make your modular builds with them. And in doing so, you'll get the opportunity to add in some interesting abilities, especially if you happen to be running them as the leaders of the unit. So they are Fu for the battlefield role for their ideal cards, if they're activating that way. And the regiment ignores the effects of hindering terrain and gain Vanguard 4 special rule if they happen to be led by a Tengu in the case of modular units. So you can mitigate the slower speed in some respects by using them as a sort of a flanking force or moving through cover, and using the ability to ignore the hindering terrain. This is my favourite pose. It's very ninja. Sweeping forward. Mandolin, potentially? I don't know the name of the Japanese instrument. But yeah, just that sweeping katana out behind them. And there's a couple of different woven hats for this one as well. I just really like it. So then, as a unit, they have flawless strikes. So when a stand with the special rule performs a clash or a duel, all hit rolls of 1 count the target's defense as 0 for that attack. So they work a little bit differently from the bonus automatic hit for the ranged version. These guys just go straight through that defense, or maybe force your opponent to use their evade instead. They've got 6 attacks each with a clash of 3, so a good number of attacks and 5 wounds. So overall, a very competent, quick-moving unit of melee or of your ranged foe as well. Get into a really nice flanking or rear position through the use of flight, and then cleave your opponent up. So there we go, folks. The option to have both your Tengu Bushi and your Tengu Ayakashi should not be underestimated. Obviously, being part of the modular system for the Yoroni means that you can add in those additional impact hits and bring the withering grace of the crane to the front line. However, if you decide to run the unit as a pure Tengu force, essentially, then you do have the option of being able to take flight, get out of the way, jump over interposing foes or friends, do your charges behind skirmishing type of forces as well. It opens a lot of flexibility for the unit as a whole, or you can make them part of that modular form, get the buffs from the other types of Oni and demon being present within it. I shouldn't call them demons all the time, but you know, fish by hooks. So yeah, the modularity of the Yoroni is really fascinating, and I think the Tengu are one that, while they add a lot to the unit, do not discount the fact that you can run them as just a pure Tengu unit and get those extra bonuses for being a one-strike sort of operation, especially if you're planning on using them in the ranged form. Being able to get out of the way of incoming trouble very quickly is not to be sneezed at. But let me know what you think below. Until next time, bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.